Okay, check it out. All right, so last few days I've mostly been prepping for epoxy and laminate work. I've got some more supplies coming in. So probably this weekend, so Friday or Saturday, I'll get in to laying up some glass. So I'm pretty much just prepping for some repairs here. So got the hole in the transom that I've sanded and tapered. I'm going to do a repair on either side of this. I've also prepped up here. I've shown before is that the transom to deck joint here. It's very common in the mariners to have cracks, and of course this one does have it. It's also been influenced by undue stress by a lot of load back here from the engine, a VHF mount, antenna mount here that was pulled a little too tight. And there's also a swim ladder that goes back here, so there's a lot of stress back here, and then also the rudder, of course. So a lot of stress on this panel. So I'm going to end up filling in this crack here that I've been sanding and cleaning it up. I'm going to fill it in with the epoxy and a filler additive. I believe it is 404 high density filler. And then I'll end up doing a layup of glass over here, biaxial glass. Basically I cut a piece of tape out of it about 3 inches wide. I'm going to lay that over. Repair the flange here. I've actually got the top flange is gone. It was all this was made of Bondo, and you can see a little imprint of screening. It had already started cracking and failing. So see what I did was sanded away the top half. I've left the bottom of the flange here intact, and I wrapped it with some packaging tape, and the epoxy won't stick to it. So basically I have a little template that I can build my top flange out of. And once that cures, I'll go back under here, I'll remove all this Bondo and damage down here, and then I'll lay up another flange underneath. Then I already have the top there as basically a template for it. We'll lay up glass some back here. Got a little bit of repair to go on over here. And then let's go climb up in the boat. And I need to get a step stool for this, but right now I'm just kind of climbing up. All right. So, in here in the cabin, down there is actually considered the bilge. That's very small, but that is my bilge, or at least part of it. If you see that hole right there, there was a very rigged repair job, consistent with all the other repair jobs that I found on the boat so far. So pretty much anything that has been supposedly repaired, I will be investigating further. But basically it was just a pile of fiberglass and resin. The fiberglass wasn't even fully saturated. There was dry spots. There's delamination. There's large air voids. Just all in all, a really poor repair. So I've sanded it down, I've tapered it. I'm gonna definitely sand down the outside of the hole and do a layup on the outside as well. And then I posted a picture, I think, of this before, and right now it's covered with a lot of dust. But I'm sanding down the whole bilge because it is just layered and all sorts of different fairing material, different kinds of paints over the years. It's all flaking and falling apart. It looked pretty awful. So I'm sanding all that down to get a nice surface. I am going to lay down some new glass down here because there's actually a lot of load in this area, especially with the centerboard trunk here. And that's going to be reinforced as well because that 165-pound swing keel or centerboard, the through bolt or the pin goes right there, and so all that load, especially with a lot of current and riding the waves, and there's a lot of load on this area, so there's going to be some reinforcing done here. You see the cabin definitely needs some work. At one point there was vinyl on the walls originally. It's all moldy, so I pulled it off, and that's adhesive that's going to have to probably be removed. Some people find a paint to paint over it, but I'm probably gonna end up attempting to remove that with a heat gun and scraper. Supposedly takes a day. That's not too bad. Yeah, I guess that's what's going on so far. Definitely a lot to be done, but making some progress. So it's pretty messy here. I'm gonna have to take a day and do some organizing because this is my quote-unquote garage. Hopefully you didn't see it too well when the camera panned over, but it's just a carport and a driveway, and I've got a tarp, a heavy-duty tarp extending out of the boat to kind of extend it. I wish I had a full shop, and currently this is what I'm working with. So Project Seahorse, over and out.
Okay, I'm under the boat, under that repair. Hopefully you can hear me through the respirator. So this has turned into a bit of a can of worms here. But basically, so I've got some woven cloth underneath, and I thought I was getting into something that the manufacturer put on, but this is actually a repair. It goes to right there. I'm not sure how far back it goes here. I think it is somewhere along here maybe. So you have a woven cloth in this area. What I found is that where the cloth was laid down over some bearing compound, maybe a primer, it did not adhere. There's all this area, everything over here started flaking off, and then I found that I could get down to some actual glass down here. This is definitely the manufacturer's woven cloth there. This is chopped strand. But anyway, yeah, there's a whole layer. It wasn't adhered, it just broke right off. So we'll see. Now that I've seen this, it makes me want to take his entire repair out. And that's kind of sucks that now I'm doing this, but I can't leave it now that I found it, you know. Check this out. I mean, look. This whole piece is not connected. It's floating in there. I mean, look at that. And what is that? Just a layer of resin? There's a little bit of glass on one side. It's like, how do you call this? Look at this. Look at this shit. That's a repair? That's insane. I mean, look. I mean, some in this area is because of the aggression of the grinder, but a lot of this is, I mean, just peeled off the layer that is over. Like, this is not okay at all. I can't believe this was under here. I mean, obviously it didn't leak water, someone was sailing it, and it's not like it's, you know, crossing an ocean, but still.
Hurricane Nicole is here, and I wanted to keep working on the fiberglass tonight. Yeah, I'm up late. I'm worried my tarp here is going to give way. I've got some, get another gust. I think we've gusted up to 45 so far. I think our sustain is about 25, 30, gusting to 45. I believe it might pick up. So I'm here in Central Florida, northeast Orlando. But yeah, I'm worried my tarp is gonna get pulled off. There's sandbags on the roof holding it on. It is screwed into the wall there. And I have sandbags at the base, and I have a couple sandbags on top of the boat there to keep the tarp from whipping back and forth like a giant sail. A couple times it's thrown the sandbags off. It threw 2 sandbags, now I'm up to 3, and so far it's staying with 3. I'm kind of worried about the sandbags on the roof getting pulled off. I think I'm gonna batten the hatches and get my tools out of the way just in case we get, you know, the tarp gets pulled off, we get some water here. I'm gonna close it up and clean up a little bit here. Lost the tarp. Trying to keep this down, and maybe it could just drain into the cockpit. Damn! Sandbags blew off. think that locker stays dry. I have a bunch of tools under there, I don't even want to open it. I ended up strapping it down, some bungee cords. Boat stayed pretty dry, some water in the cockpit. This repair got wet here, but not soaked. I'm assuming inside the boat's probably dry. I don't know if that cockpit locker leaks. It might leak maybe a little bit. The rain has stopped. It is still super windy though. I let the chickens out of the coop, fed them some breakfast, and letting them out. Woo! I let them out because I've actually seen there's been a lot of birds flying around in the high winds. There's a vulture over there. I've seen some birds buzz by at like 100 miles an hour. Kind of crazy. I think it's about 6:30, 7 o'clock maybe. I'll have to check. I don't know if the rain is done for today. We'll just have a lot of winds, or if we'll get a bunch more bands of rain. We'll see. This is my fiberglass and epoxy workstation that has been set up at a workbench that gets repurposed depending on projects. Equipped with a homemade ventilation hood using a furnace blower motor. And we have the epoxy resin over here. And I'll pan over to here to my roll of biaxial fiberglass cloth. I've got a little stainless steel panel here, then I've set the box on and keep it closed, keep the dust down because it gets a little dusty in here. And there is the combo cloth. It is 1708, so we have a biaxial, 2-layer biaxial cloth on one side instead of a woven cloth. This is structurally stronger. It is not woven, but the layers are set 90 or 45 degrees apart. And the back side we have chopped fibers. This is compatible with epoxy resin. A lot of times the matte cloth or the chopped fiber mat is not compatible with the epoxy resins, as it has a binder that only dissolves in polyester resin or vinyl ester resin. I don't even believe they use a binder with this. I believe it's just stitched in, but either way this is compatible with the epoxy resin. Panning back over here to the epoxy. Really excited to work with the West Systems epoxy here. There's other brands. This is quote unquote top of the line. There are other good ones out there for sure. West Systems has a really good instructions informational system going on. So I opted to go with West System. Comes with the metering pumps. The boat came with 404 high density filler. I bought the 406 colloidal silica filler and the 407 low density fairing filler. So we have different fillers depending on what kind of repair I'm working on. I've got mixing cups and mixing sticks, and then I bought clear sheet protectors for $5 on Amazon for 50 of them. I use this to make templates for the fiberglass, so I'll lay this over the repair area, use a Sharpie and draw out my pattern for repair, bring it over here, and I can roll this mat out and then lay the template down. And then I can cut out my template here, and then I'm ready to go back over the boat and install it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, forgive my lighting in here. I moved my shop light out to the boat for working. I ended up going on YouTube and watching a video off of a channel of a user that's a well-known boat repair gentleman. He's got a long series of videos on boat repair, working with composites and epoxies and polyester, etc. There's a couple of things with my repair I just was second guessing, so I referred to one of his videos. In his video, he said, or he mentioned a comment about having a hole through a panel. It's that damage hole that you needed to taper out or bevel the edges of the repair area of a ratio of 12:1, which is standard, but he said 12:1 based on the diameter of the hole through the panel, which is very concerning, and that threw me off. And I thought, oh wow, I screwed up. I need to restart over. I need to make a much larger repair area, which I don't have room for. There's all sorts of stuff in the way. I couldn't even taper that to that amount. I haven't measured it. My hole damage, I think I'm like maybe a 2.5 to 3 inch hole. A 36-inch beveled area. That's crazy. And I thought, oh my god, okay, so I'm gonna have to rethink this. And I thought, well, wait a second. I could have sworn it was based on the thickness of the material, which my hole is about a 1/4 inch thick, and so times 12, it went to a 3-inch diameter area, 3 inches all around the edge of the hole outward, to transfer the loads of your patch into the surrounding area. So yeah, I was under the impression from many sources, and just in my head it was based on the thickness of the material. So I did go ahead and I double checked 2 different sources. First source, I'm going to quote the FAA 8083. This is an airframe handbook. This is based off of aircraft composite repair. And there are a couple differences that have been recommended from aviation over to boats, and I'll bring that up in a second. But as far as the ratio, I'm going to skip ahead here. It refers to ratios. It basically goes on and explains to refer to the manufacturer's structural repair manual for the proper beveled edge. But in general, I'm going to read this real quick. The scarf angles are usually small to ease the load into the joint and to prevent the adhesive from escaping. This translates into a length to thickness ratio of 10:1 to 70:1. So again, right here, it goes off of the thickness of the material, and it goes on and explains this is the thickness of the laminate material to the length you're going to bevel it outward. Not based on the damage, not based on the size of the damage, strictly based on the structural thickness of the laminate of the panel. And they go, that's referencing solid laminates. There's a picture of a sandwich laminate here. That's not being referenced. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So we already have that. We have thickness to length. And then now I'm going to reference the West Systems Fiberglass boat repair manual here. They are a wealth of boat repair information as far as structural repairs. Very reliable, very trusted. So I'm going to scroll here, and I lost my place because okay. Grind a bevel around the edge of the repair area to create a bonding area for the patch that will keep the patch flush with the skin surface. A minimum 12:1 bevel is required to assure the transfer of loads across the repair area. For example, if you are left with a hole through a 1/4 inch thick laminate, the outer edge of the bevel will extend 3 inches from the inside edge of the hole. Boom, right there. So we are based on thickness of the laminate, not the diameter of the damage. So I just want to clarify that because I heard that, and the gentleman, he did great videos. Maybe that's just something he likes to do, but I heard that, and I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to rethink what I've done here. A bit frustrated, but now that's been cleared up. And real quick, I'm gonna go over one of the other issues. Not really an issue, it's a preference. Doing a layup. And where am I here? So when you're doing a layup repair, which piece goes first? So the FAA, the standards in aviation, although of course it differs from manufacturer to manufacturer, and the manufacturer's repair manual supersedes what might be in this book. This is going to be basically just general procedures. But they recommend when you're filling a hole to start with the small piece, which fills the hole, and then the larger piece, to taper it out and fill in the whole taper. And then you can sand it down and clean it up. West Systems, as well as other resources and a lot of other people, have recommended doing the large piece first, and then we have a large area bonding to the repair, and then building up that depth in reverse. So the small piece would be on top. I am going to do it this way based on West System and other recommendations. There's a lot of differing opinions, and it seems like a lot of people do either way, and it is fine. I am going to stick with this method. And then another factor, because I'm using the 1708, is, well, which side would you want facing up, away from the repair, and which side would you want facing down into the repair? I'm using epoxy, so it doesn't really matter as much, although they say matte side down is better for a secondary bond where something's already cured and dried and you're just applying it to the surface. See, a lot of people do that with wood. They'll put that side down to hold the resin, have a nice sponge, if you will, and material to hold the resin, and that attaches to the wood and gives it a nice bonding surface. But matte side up on this gives you a better surface for sanding and fairing. In this case, on the outside, I am definitely going to do matte side out for sanding and fairing. On the inside, I'll probably do that as well, though I may consider facing it down, because I think in my bilge, I'm going to lay over the whole area with a piece of glass to reinforce that whole area. And that piece would be matte side up for finishing. So bear with me and we'll see which method I choose, but I'll probably be doing matte side up on both repairs. So, all right, just wanted to clarify that. We'll get back to work here.